number 8. I am Zach D, and this is my playoff beard, Red Sox Nation. This is Chris Boyle. He shaved his beard, I guess yesterday, because the Mets are long out of it and the Giants are terrible, so no reason to really be superstitious right now. Week 8 of the prep football season. 1 month to go of the regular season. 4 or 5 games left, and then we're going to have some playoff football, and hopefully that can carry us on right into Jingle Bells Christmas time. So we'll see.
Well, fortunately, it ends in December. I have shopping to do, so eventually this has got to end.
Well, a lot of the playoffs could be decided here in the next few weeks, and obviously a big game Friday is going to be FPC and Spruce Creek, which was the game of the year last year. The Phantom Flag, which nobody will ever forget in this town. Maybe doesn't have quite the luster as I think you've written about earlier this week as it had last year, but Spruce Creek, with an extra week to prepare, Andy Price probably going to have those guys ready to at least be competitive up at Flagler.
And I think that they're going to have everything they have left saved for that game, because last year the game, they felt they were horribly robbed in that game. You remember Jamez Hull's potential 97-yard interception return for a touchdown, which would have given Spruce Creek the lead, was blown back for an inadvertent whistle. Spruce Creek never scored again. They lost,
17-14.
17-14. It could have been a much different game. It could have been a much different end result.
That
for
changes
Spruce
everything,
Creek. Yeah, Flagler won the district. They got the number 3 seed. Spruce Creek ended up making a wild card. Got drew Winter Park in the first round. A very tough matchup that they did not win. It doesn't have quite the playoff ramifications for Spruce Creek. Looking at the way that things have gone this year, it's unlikely they're going to get there. But Flagler's certainly right in the mix. Their next 3 games are huge. They've got DeLand the week after, and then they will play Mandarin on a Thursday night. 2 weeks later, they'll know.
Ooh, that's a gauntlet.
Yeah, they'll have these 3 games potentially win the district for a second consecutive year, and Spruce Creek is going to do everything in its power to go into Palm Coast and spoil the party.
That game's Friday. One of the games Thursday. You just mentioned DeLand. Let's talk about that when you guys see this. It'll be tonight. DeLand and Lake Mary. DeLand, another team coming off a bye week. Lake Mary, always a really good football team, really solid team, and seems like they always give these area teams problems. Yeah,
Lake Mary has 2 losses this year by a combined total of 4 points. They lost to Godby, one of the best teams in 7A.
That was a really impressive loss.
Yeah, 14-11. They lost to Oviedo a couple weeks ago on a blocked extra point right at the buzzer, or a blocked field goal, one or the other, right at the buzzer, a game that they could have easily won as well. This is going to be a very tough test for DeLand going across the river, going to play Lake Mary. They're coming off of a bye week as well. A really good balance for DeLand this year offensively. You've got a 500-yard rusher in Damaris Bellamy, a 500-yard receiver in Deontay Marks. Lake Mary has something very similar. They have one of the best athletes at the tight end position in the entire Central Florida area, and Pedro Rodriguez. It's going to be a real tough matchup. I'm curious to see whether they go with a linebacker, whether it's Willard or if they go and bring one of their safeties up, maybe an Avante Williams with his athleticism. They try to match him up and try to take away a 6'3", 225-pound target in Rodriguez, who can really hurt you down the seam.
Wasn't Pedro Rodriguez from Backyard Baseball?
That was Pablo Sanchez. He was the man. He's a legend.
I don't know if anybody watching this knows
no one
what
will
that
have
is.
any clue what
you guys
you're
missed
about.
It because that was great. DeLand coming off a win over Spruce Creek a few weeks ago. Putting it mildly, Steve Allen was not happy with the performance, so look for them to bounce back or at least give it really good effort on the road. You're going to be at that game and the FPC game back-to-back nights. I'm going to be at the New Smyrna Seabreeze game. Seabreeze coming off a 6-3 loss to Atlantic. I think that kind of took us by surprise. Thought Atlantic would handle them a little better, and Seabreeze always going to play good defense. They just really struggle scoring points. New Smyrna coming off a shutout over Matanzas. Should be a pretty cruise control win here, we think.
Well, you would think, but certainly New Smyrna is not going to take this game lightly. Seabreeze won last year.
That's true. They did win. So that was the start of a shocking playoff push.
Right. Yeah, they were in the hunt until the end of October last year, and Seabreeze has a very scrappy attitude. They don't. You looked at what they did against Atlantic last week. They only give up 6 points in that game. They were in it until the final drive. They had a chance with about a minute left to go. They completed about a 20-yard pass, lost a fumble around midfield that really changed the game and killed off their last chance of winning it. So I wouldn't write Seabreeze completely off of this game. Certainly New Smyrna comes in with a lot of momentum. They played very well against Matanzas, particularly on defense last week. They didn't give them any breathing space at all in the flex bone option game. So you look to think New Smyrna would take advantage, and they know, being the 8th seed right now in their region, that this game is crucial for them to get the victory. And they've also got the game next week against Mainland on the horizon, and that could be the winner-take-all district championship game.
Speaking of Mainland, the final big game of the week, or second to final big game of the week, Mainland Matanzas. Again, in years past, a few years ago, this game was really big. Matanzas clearly in a rebuild mode. Mainland, extra day of rest, playing Thursday last week, coming off a tough loss against Cocoa. Probably a good chance for them to bounce back here.
Yeah, and these 3 games for them, too, are going to be their season. You look at the fact that they've got Matanzas, New Smyrna, Seabreeze all in a row to finish the year. They win those 3 games, Mainland's into the playoffs again, and that's what they certainly expect to do. They looked very competitive against Cocoa. Maybe a little fortunate the game wasn't a little worse off in the first half. Yeah. Andrew Plummer had a great game, touchdowns on both sides of the ball to keep them in the ball game. And Cocoa switched it up. They went from a short passing game, a lot of outside bubble screens, and then they went to a running game in the fourth quarter. Really kind of wore down Mainland and caught them off guard, I think. Yeah. Matanzas, it's not going to be something that catches you off guard. It's going to be simply the flex bone. Maybe they throw in a trick play to try to get something going, but they've got to be able to protect the football and move it just a little bit, because they really struggled against New Smyrna last week.
Finally, Pearson, Taylor, and Lopez. I believe
correct.
Lopez coming off a convincing win over Trinity. Taylor, Jaden Reeves, I'm pretty sure, is still running for big yards right now to the game he had against Interlochen. So,
yeah.
Again, that's a big game.
It is. Both teams are in the playoffs right now in 3A. Father Lopez is currently the number 4 seed. Taylor, the number 6 seed. The fact that Father Lopez has been so good this year is going to help Taylor win or lose, you would think, because it might be end up being a Category 1 win. Father Lopez, again, that offense looked very sharp against Trinity Christian. Kind of blew the doors off, and they're up 34-0 in no time. Eddie Whipple had the big game last week. A couple of touchdowns, one a punt return, one on a catch, I think it was, from
modern-day Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he had a huge game. Lopez they're deep. They've got all their pieces back. They welcomed Rashane Gittens back to the offensive line last week after an injury. For Taylor, it's not quite a one-man show. We talk a lot about Jaden Reeves, and he ran for 377 yards, 4 touchdowns last week. There's certainly plenty of reason to talk about Jaden, but they've also got another player who had a big week last week, and Anson Rodriguez was credited with 5 sacks on their defense. They're going to have a tough challenge, but this is really a game they've circled on their calendars, and if Taylor wins, they know that they can probably get into the postseason with this victory.
Yeah, it would really shake things up. So you're going to be at the Lake Mary DeLand game. You're going to be at the FPC Spruce Creek game. I'm going to be at the New Smyrna Seabreeze game. Godwin Kelly going to be at the Mainland Matanzas game, and then your protege, whose name is escaping me.
John Huger. He will be at the Father Lopez Taylor game.
Going to be trekking to Pearson. Follow it all along. Week 8, Friday night, Thursday and Friday night. I'm Zach Dean. This is Chris Boyle. We'll see you out there.